Good evening. It's time to call to order this March 27th, 2023 meeting of the Richfield Planning Commission. As a reminder to everyone attending, please address and be recognized by the chair before speaking. The first item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting that occurred February 27th, 2023. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
Chair Keneally, I want to bring up an issue with the minutes here. I know the other day I reached out to city staff to ask that our approval of the motion had been added to the agenda, and that was so done. I just want to ask my other fellow commissioners, I just realized this evening, and I apologize to city staff. Was the motion accurately recorded to approve the PUD amendment? It said the motion was carried 6-0. Was it a 6-0 vote? I thought we had some discussion. I thought we had a dissenting vote. If I'm wrong, I'm welcome to be corrected.
Now that you mention it, I recall Chair Rudolph possibly casting a dissenting vote. I'm not positive, though.
That's my recollection as well.
Staff, considering that the outcome of the vote doesn't change, is this something we need to address?
Chair and Commissioners, we can certainly correct the minutes to reflect the correct vote, and also note it in these minutes that you'd like to see that done.
I don't know if it
Oh, we can verify, of course, but I'm assuming your recollection is correct.
My button's not working very well tonight.
Us neither.
Oh,
Okay, none of them are.
they all just turned on.
Yeah, I thought the vote was 5-1, but
Yeah.
that was just my recollection. I want to ask my fellow commissioners if they recall that as well.
To my best recollection, but I trust city staff to verify.
Should we watch the video now?
I'm only laughing because I can't remember what I had for dinner 20 minutes ago.
I motion to accept the minutes pending this change, if it's needed or not.
Okay.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, I would second that change pending verification by city staff about the precise breakdown of the vote of the PUD amendment at the last meeting, acknowledging that the outcome did not change.
Thank you, commissioners. We have a motion and a second. Shall we vote? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Minutes approved as noted. We will now conduct an open forum, which is an opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission regarding items not on our agenda. The call-in number for tonight's meeting is 415-655-0001. Please use webinar access code 2463-576-7703 and password 1234. If you're here in person, please sign in at the podium. If you're calling in remotely, staff will assist you when it's your turn to speak. Before speaking, please state your name, address, and the organization you represent, if any. Each person is allowed 5 minutes to speak, 10 if representing a group. Staff, are there any callers?
Chair, there are not.
Were there any emails or voice messages received prior to tonight's meeting?
There were not.
Thank you. If you're here tonight to address the Planning Commission in person during our open forum, please approach the podium. Okay, it appears no one's going to take advantage of the open forum at this time. We'll close that and move on to approval of our agenda. Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Hui.
Seconded.
Thank you, Commissioner Sturma. All in favor, say aye.
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 Staff, I just wanted to note that the screen above is showing monitor right now. It's not showing the live feed. All kinds of AV problems tonight, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure what's transmitting right now or recording.
All right, thank you both. Other business. We're due tonight to review the Planning Commission bylaws. Staff, do you have a report?
The Planning Commission reviews the bylaws each year, and this year it was pointed out that the standard agenda does not align with the bylaws. The agenda typically has only the approval of the minutes before the open forum, and the bylaws call for the approval of both the minutes and the agenda before the open forum. Staff is recommending that the bylaws be amended to match our current practice. that is in the standard agenda. There's a number of reasons for this that I could alliterate on if you need me to, but in short, we have attached a draft of the proposed changes for your consideration this evening. Thank you.
To clarify, I want to make sure I understand that the bylaws will be amended to match the agenda and not the agenda align with the bylaws.
That is correct.
Great. Thank you. Questions?
Is the intention that the open forum might inform the agenda, and that's why that is after approving the agenda is after the open forum?
That is one of the
Okay.
reasons, yes.
Sure.
May I
Thank
comment, Chair Keneally?
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, I think this is a logical change in the unlikely event that the open forum will inform our agenda. However, I'm looking at just the bylaws here on my screen. I think it's a 2/3 majority required to amend the bylaws. Is that a 2/3 majority of those present or of all members of the commission? Because I think 2/3 out of 7 is 5, and there's only 4 of us tonight. Would we actually have the power to actually affect this change tonight?
I believe it is out of those that are present. I'm 90% sure of that. And if I'm incorrect, we could bring it back next month.
In the staff report, I am seeing a note here in our policies that amending the bylaws requires 2/3 majority of the members of the commission, 5 commissioners. With that,
Where did you see that?
I've got page 7 here. Planning Commission bylaws review.
Oh, section 7?
Is this page 7 out of 26? Under policies. B.
Oh. Alrighty then. Well, then in that case, would we like to table this item to the next, to the,
I think so.
Yeah, until we have 5 commissioners here.
okay, thank you. Great
Thanks
catch.
for calling that out. We will deal with the absent commissioners as necessary.
Defer that to the next meeting, I think.
Next is our public hearing.
Need a motion to defer that to the next meeting or anything?
Oh, boy. I prepare notes and the wild cards don't come in here. Yes, we need a motion to defer that to the next meeting. Do we have a motion to do so?
I'd like to defer the consideration of the amendment to our bylaws to our next meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Sturman. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for tidying that up. The public hearing, set to begin here. The Planning Commission is a voluntary citizen board. The commission's function is to consider land use applications and to make recommendations to the City Council. The purpose of the public hearing is to invite testimony from members of the public regarding proposed projects that are pending before the commission. The commission will hear testimony from persons present who wish to speak about the agenda items before us today. If you wish to testify, please approach the podium, state your name and address, or the name and address of the organization you represent. So that the meeting minutes are accurate, it's important that all speakers be identified. When finished speaking, please sign in at the podium so we have an accurate spelling of your name. The first item as part of our public hearing is to consider a request for site plan approval at 817 66th Street East for an optometrist clinic. Staff, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Chair Keneally. Swoop Eye Care, the applicant, is requesting a site plan approval for a new optometry clinic at 817 66th Street East. Optometry clinics are a permitted use in the C2 general business zoning district. But because this is a change in use from a restaurant to a clinic, a site plan approval is required. There is no expansion or increase in use, as interior modifications are planned to turn the space from a restaurant into a clinic. Staff is here for any questions, and I believe the applicant is here as well.
Thank you. Did anyone call in or email regarding the public hearing?
Yes, we did have one person email in support of this project. They felt it was an appropriate use, and the email has been distributed to commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for city staff?
I have one. With it currently being set to be a restaurant, if we were to change that, would there be, I guess my question is, since it's already configured to be a restaurant, is it advisable or would it be better to keep it in that way, or would that not really matter with the development of the site?
It wouldn't matter if you approve this because it's currently set up for a restaurant. It's more of a building permit issue.
Okay.
So the applicant would have to apply for building permits to modify the building itself and to change any like ventilation or maybe bathroom requirements for the change in use.
Okay.
It would be, separate permits.
Any other questions from staff right now, or commissioners right now? I understand the applicant is here. Would you like to say anything tonight? You're invited if you would like to. The podium, please. Yep. And please.
Just step up to the microphone, please.
Yeah, if it's working.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Michael Walrick, and I am the optometrist being considered here today for the property at 817 East 66th Street. Essentially, I operate 2 clinics already, one in Eden Prairie and one in St. Paul. They're sublease locations. Prior to the pandemic, I only did inpatient care for patients with neurologic disorders, young children, infants, to whatever age. My training is in traumatic and acquired brain injury for patients suffering from any pretty much neurologic adult multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, concussion. But that skill set also translates to really young children as well. And as I did like a research of the area, because I also live in Richfield, near the public high school, a block south, I realized that Richfield is down about 4.5 optometrists full time. So there should be about 6.5 or 7 within the city, and there are currently only about 2.5. In addition to that, there's significant resources and availability for many of the participants, like a community member. So like, for example, my practice doesn't really have any limitation for patients we serve in a community, whether that be Medicaid, Medicare. We're pretty much open to all in that regard, but we really have a subspecialty in those particular areas, neurologic disorders, pediatric. But essentially, we're just trying to update the building, and yeah. So I guess I don't know if there's any particular question, but happy to answer if I can.
Any commissioners have any questions?
I would just like to acknowledge that I know this property there's a lot of affinity for this property here in the community. It was, I believe, formerly the local Roots restaurant. Is that correct? That's yeah. And a lot of folks are hoping that there would be a restaurant there again. I just want to acknowledge that fact. This was a very fraught situation. The community really felt strongly about this property. But I realize that a business is proposing to go in there and conforms with the city code, and I believe they do so. And I'm fully supportive of that, but I just want to think we should all recognize that this is a property that a lot of folks in the neighborhood felt very strongly about, and we have a full discussion and consideration of what people in this community felt about that property.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I recall the many people we've talked to about this specific site and how the neighbors nearby had strong feelings about making sure it fit with the neighborhood and the level of quiet they're looking for.
Yeah.
I personally am excited about this proposal, and I think it fits in really well with the neighborhood. The context you provided is compelling. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any additional questions or comments for further discussion, or would someone like to move for a vote?
Chair, you would have to formally move to close the public hearing prior to calling for a vote.
Thank you.
Ask if anyone else has comments.
If anyone else has comments or would like to approach the podium before we close the public hearing, we can take a vote on that. Excuse me, a motion to close the public hearing.
I motion we close the public hearing.
Commissioner Hui, do we have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. The motion to close the public hearing is approved. Now, commissioners, would someone like to make a move for a vote on the item in consideration? Or excuse me, a motion to approve the item in consideration.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consideration.
I second that.
Do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Consideration of a request for site plan approval at 817 66th Street East for an optometrist clinic is approved. The next item on our agenda is liaison reports. Do we have anyone here tonight with the Community Services Advisory Commission? As for the City Council, at their regular meeting on 3/14, they approved a first reading of an ordinance amendment to eliminate the minimum lot size requirement for a planned unit development. They also considered the approval of a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention infrastructure grant and considered awarding American Rescue Plan Act funding grants to nonprofit organizations. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority, the Richfield School Board, the Transportation Commission.
I have no report.
Thank you. Chamber of Commerce,
Nothing to report.
and the Sustainability Commission.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Next is the City Planner's Report.
I don't believe we formally appointed Commissioner Tarleton to the Community Service or Sustainability Commission, did we?
Not formally, I saw in the email, and thank you for bringing that up. Is that something we need to make formalized here?
Oh, yeah, Chair and Commissioners, I had spoken with Commissioner Charleston ahead of the meeting this evening, and I let him know that the Sustainability Commission was the remaining liaison position that was open, and he is available on those evenings to watch those or read those minutes or watch those meetings. So he did accept that position.
Thank you for providing that summary and for asking the question, Commissioner.
Should we make a motion to formalize it? Do we need to?
My understanding with these liaison appointments, we haven't made motions or voted in the past.
I don't think that's fair.
Okay.
On the other part of my report is that the city council approved the first reading of the ordinance amendment to eliminate the minimum lot size requirement for planned unit development, which you already kind of mentioned. There is no discussion, and the second reading will be held on Tuesday, March 28th. I did also want to point out that today was the deadline day for applications for next month's planning commission meeting, and we did not receive anything. So save a last minute hurried submittal that we try to squeeze on to the April agenda. It is looking like the April planning commission will be canceled. However, we have scheduled a work session for 6 p.m. on the same day. So we would meet at 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. at the regularly scheduled day next month. Thank you.
Thank you. There's nothing else before us except for adjournment. I want to thank everybody who helped me getting the votes right at the right time. You're very helpful. If there's nothing else, does anyone want to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Any seconds?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.